This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the shores of beautiful Lake Ontario, in between Toronto and Niagara Falls, Ontario. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to find out about the X-Zone Radio Show, it's very simple, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Julie Geigle. She is a gifted channel, and she's the channel of Archangel Metatron, an international psychic medium, awakened healer, and spiritual teacher. With a master's in education, Julie spent 10 years teaching middle school and is now honored to work with the spiritual realm, assisting many on their path of awakening and enlightenment. Her website, juliegeigle.com, and that's JULIEGEIGLE.com. And Julie, welcome to the X-Zone. Tell us more about yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just delighted to be here with you today. Yeah, I am a spiritual counselor, psychic medium. I mean, I wear so many hats. I have a hard time keeping up with myself. But this work has just been such a blessing and has transformed and morphed into so many things. I mean, I originally started out as a hypnotherapist, and then I moved into Reiki master healing and teaching for a while, and then it kind of evolved and transformed into spiritual counseling, and I focused on that solely for a few years. And now these last 5 years, I have just completely dedicated myself to psychic medium work and being a full trance channel for Archangel Metatron.
How did you go from school teaching to saving souls?
Wow. Yeah, that is a great question. And I would have to say I had always wanted to be a school teacher ever since I can remember. I think it was second grade. And so when I was in the field teaching and I began to long or yearn for something else, I was just shocked, and everybody who knew me was shocked. And of course, my family tried to talk me out of it. But, you get that desire planted in your heart. You start on a spiritual path, a spiritual journey, and you begin to have other experiences that open up other worlds and opportunities. And before you know it, your whole life has, turned upside down, definitely for the better. And I think mine began, like I said, spiritual journey. Teaching was incredibly stressful. Yeah. And I was looking for ways to balance and ground that, manage that energy. And I turned to meditation. And it was, through meditation that I began that path of spiritual awakening. And I just started going to things that interested me, like angel workshops and developing psychic abilities and hypnosis. And so it really began as a hobby,
Right.
and as a outlet, a release for that stressful energy, that managing those emotions of being with kids all day long and needing something to balance it out. And then it just kind of took me away.
But I would imagine
a whole nother journey.
But I would imagine, we've got about a minute left before I have to go to my first break, Julie. But I would imagine that the training that you received as a teacher and the ability to teach children certainly helped you in the work that you're doing today.
Wow. I mean, that's just such an understatement, because, I mean, I've had that conversation many times with my husband of, you spend a lot of money on your education.
Yeah.
Why would you throw that all away to do this work? And, I mean, certainly that wasn't how I viewed it. And it really has served me incredibly well.
Yeah.
It's given me credentials that most psychic mediums don't hold. And I think there's a lot of value in that, but also working with children, working as a teacher, that will serve you in any field that you go into.
Well said, Julie. You and I have to take our first break. Exonation, Julie Geigle is our special guest this hour, www.juliegeigel.com. And Julie and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, you can always send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And for the X Zone Broadcast Network website, and to find out who's who, where, and how to listen, xzbn.net. Don't go away now.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Julie Geigle is my special guest of this hour, Exonation. And Julie, how did you and Archangel Metatron meet up?
Well, that's a pretty interesting story. It all began when I took a psychic class. And it was a weekend workshop. It was a psychic mediumship development, a local class here in our very, very conservative town. Mm-hmm. And I went home that night, and I was very, very brave. You know, the teacher had said, as you begin to open up to these spirits in the spiritual realm, they will start to make themselves known. And don't be afraid of that, and ask them who they are and what they want. So that night at the kitchen, as I was putting things away, I could feel a very strong energy behind me. And in the past, I would have been very fearful of that, and I would have completely shut that down and ignored it. But I was feeling very brave and confident, and so I stood in my power, and I said, "Who's there?" And I heard the word Metatron. And I was totally creeped out and scared to death, and I shut it down, and I'm like, okay, that's good. That's enough. I don't need any more. Mm-hmm. The next day I went back to class, and I asked my teacher, I said, do you know anyone named Metatron? Because, here I'm waiting for these spiritual angels that everybody knows, Archangel Michael or Archangel Uriel, the famous ones that we all are familiar with. And her eyes popped out of her head, and she looked at me, and she said, yes, I do. Why? And I told her what happened, and she said, wow. She said, that's very exciting. She said, I am seeing that he is here and to work with you. And if I were you, I would Google him and find out as much as you can about him, because this is going to change your life.
So tell us about Archangel Metatron, who he is or who she is. I don't know if it's a male or female, but tell us about Metatron.
Yes, the angels are all androgynous, but we like to put, the male-female characteristics to them. It makes us more comfortable here. So I do view Metatron as a male figure, and he is actually the bridge between the spiritual realm and Earth. And he actually walked the planet as Enoch. And so he's one of two. His brother Elijah, who is Archangel Sandalphon, is the other known human who's actually physically walked the earth and then ascended into heaven to become an archangel.
But I didn't think humans could become archangels.
As I had mentioned, Metatron and Sandalphon are the only two humans that or angels that have walked the earth as humans. Typically, I mean, it's like a 101 rule that angels aren't human.
Yeah.
Angels have not taken on human form. But there's an exception with these two dudes. And so it was actually one of my requirements when I began to learn more about channeling and what it was. I actually began with the law of attraction, and I studied and followed Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham. And I remember having that seed was planted and the desire was born that, wow, this would be really fun to do. And I remember attaching to that a requirement. And I told God, I said, I'm not comfortable with just anybody coming in to my, physical body and talking through me. It has to be somebody I know, somebody from the Bible, somebody I feel safe with and I'm comfortable with. And so it was interesting how that evolved, and Metatron came in. And then, like I said, I had no idea who Metatron was. So I was very excited when I did some research and found out that he actually is in the Bible.
Wow.
Doesn't have a lot in the Bible, but he's in the Bible.
So how does your husband feel now about the work that you do?
Well, he teases me a little bit, and he's got his jokes. And, there's a football player out there called Megatron.
Yeah.
So anytime I mention Metatron, he's like, oh, yeah, you channel Megatron. Like, no, I don't channel a football player. He's a real archangel up there in heaven. Blessings from God, so we're all good. But yeah, so, he's involved. He's very psychic himself, as he's beginning to discover, and I've always told him he's more psychic than I am. But yeah, it's been slow going with him, but he's supportive, and he loves to give me a good rouse.
Well, of course, it's a guy thing. We all us husbands like to give our wives a good rouse once in a while.
Absolutely.
What kind of people do you like to work with?
Well, I mean, I just love to work with people who are struggling, having a hard time shifting out of anger, out of fear. I just worked with a woman this morning, actually, and, within a couple minutes into the session, she was sobbing and just really having a hard time in life. And everything going wrong, and just feeling like she keeps getting bombarded. And so her big question was, have I done something wrong? Am I making the wrong decisions continually in my life to have all of this constant, nonstop barrage of negative events happen? And I mean, those are the people that I'm looking for, because, wow, I can help you shift out of that energy and shift into love, align with your soul, open up miracles, and experience the joy and harmony you deserve to have in your life and you came here to have. And by the end of that 60 minutes, she looked like a completely different person. I could see the light in her eyes. I could see the smile, the hope in her heart, that she could turn this around and really, really open up and receive miracles in her life. So, yeah, it's really cool. Those are the people I love to work with.
What would you say your specialty is?
I have a special affinity working with people who are in business, have business questions. I like the psychic business coaching. My father was an entrepreneur, and I definitely have adopted his entrepreneurial spirit. And so I've got a lot of experience in business, because I worked for my father for many, many years. I did a lot of accounting work with him and business management. So it really does, it's again, another one of those skills that's really served me in my life, and especially in helping and working with people, entrepreneurs and business owners.
So how scary is it working with the dead?
Well, in the beginning, it was quite scary. And I have to say, my first experience working with the dead, I had just had a Reiki healing. And so I remember I, had taken another class with this gal on advanced mediumship and psychic abilities. And I was so excited, and I could just feel everything bubbling up. And I remember running to her and saying, I'm ready for the next step. What should I do next? How do I open this up further and really, really receive these gifts? And she said, get a Reiki treatment. And they had Reiki healers there that day. So I went and got a Reiki treatment. And during my treatment, my husband's friend from high school who had committed suicide came in and started having a full-on conversation with me. And I was like, wow. And he had requested that I contact his parents and talk to them, kind of like the whole ghost whisperer situation.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband's like, do not, don't you dare call them. Don't you dare. They're going to think you're crazy. They're going to think I'm crazy. And I remember writing a letter to them. And I think I had put it anonymous because, like I said, they knew the Geigle name and my husband, and he was concerned. So I didn't put my name on it. But I remember writing the letter and just sharing the message that came through from Joe, and then putting at the bottom, if you'd like to talk to me, have a conversation about this, here's my address, and let me know. I'd be happy to set something up. I don't want any money from you. I just made this connection, and I wanted to share it.
All right, hold on here. You didn't want to let them know who had written the note, but you gave them your address?
I did, and I think I might have used my maiden name because they didn't know who I was.
Okay.
There wasn't an attachment to my maiden name, but they did know my married name.
So did they call you? Did they contact you? Did they contact you?
No.
Right?
And it was so funny because I ended up later in life befriending their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually came into this work because that happened before I left teaching. So that happened about, I want to say 15 years ago. That was my very first experience talking to the dead. And then I befriended his sister, and I remember sharing that story with her. And I asked her, I said, did your parents ever mention receiving a letter from someone who had contacted their dead son? Because she was into all this stuff with me, and we did spiritual classes and things together. And she's like, no, why? And then I shared the story with her, and she said, wow, that's really interesting, but they never mentioned anything. So, for me, and then I told God, I said, I'm not that person. I'm not Belinda from Ghost Whisperer. You're going to have to go find somebody else. If you want to get a message to somebody, you're going to have to bring me the person. I'm not going to go knocking on doors or calling people up.
Isn't that a little tacky when people do that, though?
Well, I mean, the show we've got a show in our area called Ghost Whisperer, and they display it very appropriately. But yeah, it was a very uncomfortable experience for me. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple other times where spirits were quite insistent with me about contacting someone or speaking up. Mm-hmm. And it was never a good experience. And so, yeah, after that happened a few times, I just didn't feel, and I completely agree with you, I just didn't feel it was appropriate because everybody is in a different place. And especially when it comes to death, it's such a touchy subject. And, I think that, like I said, it's best for that spirit to allow things to cross that person's path to enable a connection versus having the medium go directly and make that initial contact.
Yeah, I'm really not
more authentic.
I'm really not a big fan of all these so-called reality shows because being in the business myself, I know they're anything but reality shows.
Yes.
We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone with our special guest this hour, Julie Geigle. And if you'd like to find out more about Julie, visit her site at www.juliegeigel.com. That's JULIEGEIGLE.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Welcome back, everyone. Julie Geigle is my guest this hour. She is a gifted channel, and she is the channel of Archangel Metatron, an international psychic medium, awakened heart healer, and spiritual teacher. With a master's degree in education, Julie spent 10 years teaching middle school and is now honored to work with the spiritual realm, assisting many on their path of awakening and enlightenment. Once again, if you'd like to contact Julie, www.juliegeigel.com. Julie, how do you know if you're speaking to the right loved one on the other side? You know, for example, if Mrs. Lucy Smith comes to you and she would like you to communicate with her husband, the late John Smith, how do you know that the John Smith that you're connecting to is the John Smith that was married to Lucy Smith?
That is a beautiful question, and I was actually just thinking about that. How it works is I always tell people, I explain, I can either read the energy that's around you, or you can tell me who you're looking for. So if you tell me who you're looking for, then I can zoom in directly to that energy and make that contact and give you that message. But if I just read the energy around you, it might be the person you came here that you wanted to connect with, it might not. A lot of times what will happen is the most strongest energy will move forward when it's kind of a free-for-all. And it might be the neighbor's son who committed suicide, or the coworker's daughter who got in a car accident, and you barely even knew them or knew them at all. And so it's the energy that wants to make the message has that fervency of getting that communication across. Not always somebody you want to talk to. So I tell you, I've spent many a dollar, and I've watched many a session of other mediums working and making that connection with somebody they could care less about. So when people come to me, and I'm happy to just simply read the energy that's around you, but like I said, I'll be honest, I do charge a little bit on the upper scale for the work that I do, because I have had a lot of experience and training, and I don't want to waste your time or your money.
Sure.
So what I typically do, people will tell me who they're looking for, and then I will tune into the energy, and I will give what we call evidence. And my strongest gift in regard to evidential mediumship is the person's characteristic. Maybe something they would say, or a trait that they might have. Sometimes I will get physical visions, what the color of their hair is or their body weight. And so after I share a few pieces of evidence, if you will, then I will check in with the person and ask, does this make sense? Does this sound like the person you're looking for? And I would have to say about 75 to 80% of the time, the first energy I connect with is typically the person they're looking for. But there is about 25% of the time where it's not. And they'll say, it doesn't. Or they'll say, that's my father on my mother's side, and I didn't know him. And so at that point, we'll thank that energy for coming in, because certainly there's a reason they're there. And then I'll just ask that energy to move on. And then we, again, will call forth the spirit that they are looking for. And I have to say there's maybe only been one time in the 10 years that I've done this where I haven't gotten a clear reading, where I've had a communication with a spirit, and I know it is the spirit that they're looking for, but it's almost as if the spirit's in a coma, where they're not able to have a clear, complete communication with me like you and I are having now. So when I typically speak to dead people, loved ones in spirit, it is like a conversation like I'm having with you right now. And the more that the person, we call them the sitter, the more that the sitter believes in the interaction, and the more that the sitter confirms the information that's coming through, the stronger my connection to that spirit becomes, and the more information that opens up, for me to receive and share. It really is beautiful how it works. So the sitter plays a huge role in the experience that is going to occur with their loved one as much as the medium does. Does that make sense?
It does.
So if I've got a sitter who really is critical and doesn't believe in any of this stuff, but they just came just to see, that it's a completely different reading than somebody who has an open heart and is really wanting this to happen and believing that this communication is real.
Has there ever been a time when a sitter has come to you and you've tried to make the connection with the other side and the spirit says, I don't want to talk to them? No way.
Well, I've actually had it reversed where the spirit has come in and the sitter, it was really an uncomfortable situation. The spirit came in clear as day and he had lots to say. And the sitter was like, I don't want to talk to him. I did not come here to talk to him. Oh. And I was aghast. I was like, really? And they were like, yeah. And so I had to shut it down. I had to tell the spirit to keep going, that the person's heart wasn't open. They weren't ready to receive that. And then after the reading was over and we had made the connection that she came here for, then she had just shared very briefly that the relationship did not end well, that there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of hurt, and that they were not in a place to receive any information from that person.
What would you say the number one reason for people coming to you to communicate with the other side is?
Closure.
And when you're speaking to the other side, what is the description of what happens at the time of passing and where they are right now?
The description at the time of passing.
Yeah, what
happens?
Can you
clarify that?
Yeah, what happens when a person dies and where do they go and what's it like over there?
Well, I believe, and everybody's kind of got their own belief system, but from working in this world here for as much as I have, what I believe, and this all opened up for me when my father passed. So my father passed about 18 years ago, and I was angry with him. He died of lung cancer, and I thought it was suicide. As far as I was concerned, he could have stopped smoking, but he didn't. And then he ended up dying. He knew that was going to happen. And so I was very upset with him, and I'd scream and holler and cry, and I thought I was imagining how he would respond to me. And at one point in time, I realized I wasn't imagining this conversation. It was real. It was really him. And that's when this whole work began to open up, and I ended up leaving teaching and pursuing a field, this business and spirituality. But my belief is that when you die, you move into what I call earthbound, and they typically hang around for the funeral and kind of wish everybody, watch and make sure everybody's going to be okay. Sometimes they'll hang around a little bit longer if somebody's having a hard time letting them go. My father hung out for like 7 years. Wow. I believe one of the psychics my mother went to had shared before he finally crossed over. So some spirits cross over right away. Typically once the funeral's over, they move into the light, they're in heaven, there's work up there that they're doing, and they can still communicate with us all the time. Now, if a spirit stays earthbound, they still can communicate with us just as well as they can if they cross over, but that's not where they're supposed to be. And the earthbound, being held in that earthbound place is kind of just, you're drifting. There's not a lot of organization or any, if you will, and people are just kind of stagnant and not advancing or evolving when they cross in the light. So when I tune into an energy, I can typically feel right away if they are earthbound or in heaven. When they are in the light, their energy is typically much lighter. they're happier, and they're more at peace. When they are earthbound, and a lot of times they'll stay earthbound too if there's been a traumatic death, like maybe a car accident or sudden, they didn't expect to die,
Right.
heart attack. Typically their energy is heavier, and they're a little more confused and less able to offer guidance or insight to the sitter. Whereas spirits who are in the light, they usually come filled with a lot of love in their heart and a lot of, they want to help the person here on earth. They're kind of watching over them and wanting to guide them. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Has there ever been a time when you've just had to chuckle at what the conversation is between the two parties?
When the spirits come through and share different things.
Yeah.
I know there's been a few times where I've been like, okay, typically don't talk like this, and forgive me for my French, but I have to say it how they've said it, because that's what you're going to recognize them to be. And I'll blurt it out, and they'll laugh. They'll be like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what he used to say. So, those little moments are so special because it's such validation. There's no way I could know, these things.
Mm-hmm.
And just, really confirmation it is their loved one. But you know what? The number one point of my purpose as a medium is to teach people that they don't need me to communicate with their loved one. They can communicate with their loved one on their own. So I go through and kind of explain to them, now that I've opened this connection, now that they know that that loved one is really still there, that they're not making this up and they're not imagining anything, that really just paves the way for them to continue this conversation, to continue this communication. I always tell people, death is not, it's simply a physical death, that the spirit lives on forever. And it is a matter of adjusting to this new relationship that you have with your loved one, because you still have the same relationship. There's just no physical form for you to connect to. So it's that transition of adjusting and letting go of not having the physical form, but you are still able to talk and converse and communicate with them just as much as you did when they were alive. And to that fact, I went to a psychic once, probably 10 years ago. It was shortly after my father died. And I was very close to my father and my mother. We didn't talk much, or I didn't call once in a while. I mean, I've got a good relationship with my mother, but we don't talk a lot. She's not one to call me. I'm not one to call her. It just is, that's the way our relationship is. I love her dearly, but I don't communicate with her.
All right,
a lot.
we're going to have to have a little bit
of.
We're going to have a bit of a cliffhanger here. When we come back, we'll finish this story. Julie, I love your energy. Exonation. Julie Geigle is our special guest this hour. www.juliegeigel.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away now.
Are you curious? Do you want to learn more about how the world works and have fun at the same time? Study coincidences with me, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on my Connecting with Coincidence radio show here on the XZBN network. Listen to Jungians theorize, statisticians randomize, true believers evangelize, while I categorize. I dance to the rhythm of coincidences. People who experience me see more of them. Maybe something on the show matches a thought in your mind. Let us know. Expand your mind to the weirdness happening around you. Synchronicity spoken here, there, and everywhere. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence in your search engine and find my website, my social media sites, and my blog.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Julie Geigle is our special guest this hour, X-Zone www.juliegeigel.com. That's JULIGEIGLE.com. First of all, Julie, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. And as I told you during the break, you're the real McCoy. You care. You've got heart. I can hear it in your voice. So tell us about, I interrupted you because we had to go to a commercial break, but continue what you were telling us.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, because it does mean a lot to me. Absolutely. And I just was sharing kind of a testament to this communication we can have with our loved ones in spirit. And I had went to this psychic, and she said to me, your mother's passed. And I'm like, no, my mother's still alive. And she's like, oh, okay. All right, well, okay. And then she said, all right, so your father, he's still alive, and you have a very strong relationship with him. And I said, no, my father's actually the one that's passed. And she kind of looked at me, and she's like, oh, okay. And I could just feel her kind of stepping back and regrouping, because she's like, I know I don't have this wrong. I know there's something going on here. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh my gosh, what she was picking up was this relationship that I had with my father. And my father and I were very close here in the earth plane. And when he died, I continued that communication. And like I said, I would talk to him, and I was angry that he was gone. And so I talked to him all the time, screaming and hollering at him. And so it was like, yeah. I said, you know what? I said, I actually talked to my dad a heck of a lot more than I talked to my mother, because to talk to my mother, I have to pick up the phone, and I hate to talk on the telephone, and so does she. And the psychic chuckled, and she said, well, this is truly a testament that you can have a relationship with your loved ones in spirit, because she said, I'm absolutely seeing your father is a very, very strong and forefront in your life, and will continue to guide and walk this journey with you as you move into your psychic and medium abilities beginning to open up. So it really was an honor.
How wonderful. How wonderful.
Yeah.
You asked me earlier on a break if you could pull a card for me, and I said sure. So why don't we share the information with the X Zone Nation? Call it as you see it.
Awesome. Well, I work in a little bit of a unique fashion. I work with 6 different decks. So I'm going to have you choose one of the decks, and I'm going to go through them quickly, and then you pick one at the end here. I've got the healing deck, romance, messages from your angels, life purpose, archangel deck, and the fairy deck.
I have to go with the archangel deck because I believe in angels.
Ooh. You believe in archangels. Okay.
I believe in angels.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they are everywhere. Okay, so now what I want you to do is just take a nice deep breath and relax, and just be open to receiving as I shuffle the deck here for you.
Tell me, are goosebumps part of the routine?
Are what?
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps.
You know, whenever you get goosebumps, whenever I get goosebumps, it's confirmation that whatever you're thinking about is truth.
Okay.
So watch for those goosebumps.
All
okay,
right.
I'm going to pull the card now. Here we go. All right. You've gotten the card called Clairaudience. Archangel Zadkiel. Notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. Now, what I'm seeing with this card is that you are clairaudient, and I'm actually clairaudient as well, and I have learned that this is one of my strongest gifts. So what I'm being shown is kind of a parallel with my experience and with your abilities. So I'm seeing that you are clairaudient, and so Spirit comes to you and actually gives you specific direction, specific insights, inspiration to help align you with your highest good in your life path. And you have used this, it served you quite well in your life. So whether or not you've called it what it is doesn't really matter. But the angels want you to know today that you are clairaudient. It is a very strong gift that you have, and it will continue to develop as you open up and become more aware of your connection with Spirit itself. But yeah.
Now, could you explain to our listeners who may not know what clairaudient is, please?
Oh, this is so exciting. I'm telling you. You can actually hear. So there's like a voice in your head, and you hear specific words that Spirit is saying to you. And like I said, this is one of the strongest gifts that I've been able to develop as I've continued with this work. And I can actually hear sometimes people's angels will come in and be very, very specific about information that they are to know, or information that will help them as they, move into the experiences of their life. So it is like having a little voice in your head And it's very clear, very specific, and very direct.
I was telling you before that I can usually tell a lot about a person within the first 5 minutes of speaking to them, whether it was when I was in the police force or now as a broadcaster and the CEO of a company. And I would imagine that this is where this information is coming to me from.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely seeing that you're working with the higher order. There's a higher order that's here on this planet right now to assist in the ascension and the evolution of our awakening. And actually, the card I pulled 2 cards for you.
Oh, you sneaky devil, you.
I did. And the second card that came in is the peace card. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. Yeah. But the peace card, the big message for the peace card is that you are working with this higher order in bringing peace to this planet.
Wow.
So you're on a special mission here. And it really is an honor and a privilege to work with you here tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I thank you. I believe in love. All you need is love. And if there was more love in this world, there'd be no wars.
Exactly.
There would be the sharing of wealth.
The only thing that's real is love. Everything else is an illusion. As A Course in Miracles says, the only thing that's real is love.
Yeah. Listen, now, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And what are you going to be doing in the future? Have you got classes?
Well, I have started teaching online spiritual classes.
Wow, good for you.
So I'm really excited to take my gifts and talents to a new level, certainly working internationally. I have been working internationally one-on-one with people for the last 4 years, and to expand this into online classes, I'm just hoping to reach more masses of people. And I also host a radio show called Angel Talk Tuesday, where I channel Archangel Metatron. So continuing to put that work out there. And again, the goal is always to reach masses of people.
Listen, does Archangel Metatron have a message for me?
Archangel Metatron, actually, I'm seeing he is one of the people that's kind of in your council that is working with you on this higher order, on bringing peace to the planet, and again, reaching masses. They're definitely showing me a parallel between our two lives. So it's very interesting that you ask about Metatron, because he's one of your dudes.
One of my dudes. So if he's one of my dudes, does that make you one of my dudettes?
Oh, well, that's cute.
There you
Absolutely, we're on the same team. That's what that means.
All right. Listen, let our listeners know how they can contact you for a one-on-one reading, or if they'd like to take any of your courses.
Absolutely. You can sign up for my classes or schedule a private appointment with me over at juliegeigle.com. That's Juliegeigle.com.
Julie, do me a favor. Come back and visit us again.
I would love to. Thank you so much, and have a blessed evening.
And one more thing. What is your message for the world tonight? We've got about a minute left. What is your personal message to the listeners tonight?
Well, one of Metatron's favorite sayings is, love is your superpower. So stand in the light and remember, love is your superpower.
Or as the Beatles said, all you need is love.
There you go. That too.
Julie Geigle, thank you so much for joining us. And please give my regards to your husband. And do you think he'll ever realize that Metatron is not the football player?
I hope so.
Julie, take care of yourself, sweetie. Great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye now.
Exonation, Julie. My gosh. Julie has been our guest. What a young lady. And her name is Julie Geigle. And if you'd like to, contact her for a one-on-one consultation, or if you'd like to take any of her courses, www.juliegeigle.com. Great hour. Lady's got a lot of love in her heart. This is what the world needs, and this is what we've been saying for years now. All you need is love. You know, the hippies had the right idea. Make love, not war. Because as long as you've got love, any problem can and will be solved. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from where? Right here, our broadcast center in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Love you guys.